All right, Leo Drager here. Time to tie it all in together. So throughout the incident response process, we would have identified there was a problem. That's why somebody would have come to us in the first place. So it's the detection of the incident. Typically in this case, in this scenario, reported by a help desk worker. Call in end user reviewing pornographic files at work. That's the call. That's the investigation you get called to do. So you go to the suspect's computer, you image it, you import all of the files. Now you have the files, you have the evidence, and you're basically ready to make your report after you've done all of your analysis. Okay, so let's go through what it takes to create a forensics report and review that report. Easiest way to start here is to go to the report wizard. And this is going to tie in all of the different pieces of the module in its entirety. Okay, so this is the magic video of them all. Agency information. Here's where you put the company name, your investigator's name, the address. All of this is optional. You know, phone, fax, email, comments. You don't necessarily need that to report. I'm not going to bother with it now, simply for the sake of speed of the video. Okay. Next is bookmarks. Throughout the investigation, you would have had items of interest that you would have needed to include in your investigation. These become the bookmarks. Okay, so you have plenty of bookmark options. Like, would you like to include bookmarks from a particular section in the report? Do you want to look at the thumbnail images? And do you want to export the bookmark files actually in the report themselves? Okay. Next, you have more information about the bookmarks. This goes all into the actual specific details of all of the fields that you would have filled out and any other custom fields that you want to add to it. Go ahead and click next. The graphics in thumbnail format, if you like. Everything that you found, such as evidence, to include in report. Let's get those graphics in those reports for anybody else that wants to analyze it. Okay, you can list the file path in a couple different ways. Okay, so what you want to include, what you not want to include, what you want to export or whatnot. You get the idea. All right, list file properties. Okay, anything that you see here with the file properties or the type specific, you can include those or export those. Next, additional file properties. See, here's where you've chosen to add a file to the property sections of the report. Please select the file properties to be displayed for each list category selected in the inclusion report. So that's adding something by a specific list. You can add those right in here. This would be for larger investigations as opposed to the simple investigation where we only have a few things selected. But if you need to scale that and you have things listed by category and things like that, the list that you use to organize that, that's where you would put that. Any supplementary files. Let's say upon the investigation for activity X, you find out that the user is also performing activity Y, whatever that Y scenario is. Well, if there's supplemental files that you think other people should know, well, you can certainly add those here. And also, please note here, you're going to see this again in a second, include the case log in the report for this. And do you want the HTML files as well to be put there? Okay, next, let's go to the report location. This happens to be any place where you're giving the report. So at this point, what happens in the investigator's mind is absolutely critical. You are going to export these files, and then you are going to take a message digest of these files for your own purposes, because this is where you can always track exactly what you have provided in the report. You have a specific message digest that goes along with that. So that's a perfect time to go snapshot, okay, get that message digest and record it. That should be clear in the documentation. That way, if anybody wants to verify the integrity from the time you wrote the report, it can be done. All right, and of course, if you like the report in English, we'll say yes. So also, would you like to view the report? Here's where everything gets reported to basically the final web page, and it's going to cover all of the case information and details. Everything from the version of the software that performed all of this investigation and all of the fields that we filled out throughout all of these videos. Okay, it ultimately leads to this moment. Okay. If you want to look at specific case information, here's where all of that is. Everything from who's the forensics examiner, the investigator, etc., etc. All of the file overviews, all right? All of the specific file references and also the evidence list, the list of evidence that would have been included. Now, I told you would see this again. The case log. Throughout this course, there's been talk about the case log. Well, this is literally the forensics investigator's notebook in many cases. Read this every single time and go through it and understand it. It should make sense to you. All right. Get used to seeing things in that format. Also, the list file properties, any bookmarks that would have been added, and any of the selected graphic thumbnails to be included in the report, they would all be, in the report. And then if you want, you can go to a list file database. Okay, so that's it. That's how to go through and create a case report. And that is something that every investigator is going to need to know. How could you ever have a job if you don't know how to create a report? You want to get hired as a consultant, you want to work in the field, and you're performing these activities. You need to, one, understand the integrity, the case management, and everything else, and understand the business aspect of this as well. This is very much a part of the types of activities that you would be supplying in terms of, the case information, who's the investigator involved, and you're performing the activity for, what reasons, what they provided you and what you did to it, and then the report that goes along with it to basically get your paycheck. Think of it that way. It's to get your paycheck and to complete a transaction in the business scope of things. So I hope you enjoyed the videos. My name's Leo Dreger, and I'll see you in the next video.